high atop the citadel, in the city, it was said that a forest would grow. And this future city would come into contact with nature until the robot arrived. Dun, dun, dun.
Hi, my name is Sam J. Gold. I am a theater artist and a puppeteer, and I'm also a teaching artist at the New Victory Theater. And I am here today to talk to you about set building. Specifically, set building in miniature. Now, when I got my start as a puppeteer, one of the first things I discovered that I really loved is that I could dream fanciful stories in other worlds. I could think of whatever story I wanted to tell, and I wouldn't really have to pare it down. I just would have to build it in miniature. And that felt like a useful thing to consider these days when you might be at home for most of the day. So we're going to explore how to take a story and create an environment for it, a set, out of everyday objects we find in our apartment. And then also later I'll show you how to do it with paper and scissors as well. But first we need to go over our materials. Flashlight. Make sure you have one of these. If you don't have an actual flashlight, that's totally okay. Just about every modern smartphone has a really good flashlight built into it, so maybe you can borrow your parents' flashlight, or if you have your own cell phone, you could use that. But we want to make sure we have a flashlight. Second, we need to grab materials from around our house. These are going to be the backdrop, our set for our story. There's all sorts of ways that you can go about this. You could think of a story you want to tell and decide what background you would need. Maybe it's from your favorite book, maybe it's a myth or a fairy tale. You could also just walk around your house and grab things that look interesting and then discover in the moment what kind of world you can create. I'll wait for a minute so that you can have time to go find a few things. Did you get what you were looking for? Great. Well, let me show you what I have today. I have 2 candle holders, some wooden blocks, some beautiful different colored vases, and 2 giant books. Now, I was inspired by this figurine, which I have lying around in my house. This is like a little wooden robot. I got this guy really early into my career as a puppeteer. And I hadn't thought about him much in a long time, and I saw him earlier today, and I thought, oh, that's cool. Let's build a world for this robot. So I think with these materials, I can make like a futuristic city. So that's what I'm going to try and make. So the first thing you need to do is look at all of your materials and start thinking, what could this be? If this wasn't a vase, what could it be? I think this one could be a skyscraper. I think this one could also be a skyscraper. Maybe it has an interesting red top to it. Now these books, I wonder if I could put one here, add to it, maybe even put one of these on top. Now we're really building kind of like a cityscape. Maybe we'll keep this one lower though, and we can stack a few things onto it. Let's see. Put a few buildings even lower. Since we're making a city, I like to have different heights so that we can really see our whole cityscape. That looks pretty good. So you can already start to see we have different heights. We can imagine these are buildings. Maybe this is where there's more like apartments. This could be an important space. But now we're going to see how this all transforms in the dark. So let's hit the lights. Okay, we are in the dark. I'm going to turn on my flashlight on the count of 3, and we're going to see what kind of shadows this cityscape makes. 1, 2, 3. So this is very interesting. Here we have like our citadel, our skyscrapers. I love how it makes different colors. And then over here, we have another part of the city. And you notice it's almost like a movie. Once I have this flashlight that I can move around, it almost becomes like a movie where this is the camera, right? So we can start really close into something. We could be here. That's very interesting. And then we can move out and reveal that that's just one building
in our city. And then, since I have this robot, what if we even put the robot into the picture? So maybe we'll start over here. Start in red even. And then we'll slowly move out, taking in more and more of our cityscape, until finally, there's our robot. Maybe he's just a robot with a dream, first time in the new city, in the big city, ready to go on his adventure. That looks pretty cool. We're back in the light, and I'm curious what kind of backdrop you made. Did you make a jungle, or a beach, maybe a desert or a mountaintop? Maybe you made a city, like me. Whatever it was, I hope that you were surprised by some of the shadows that you could make from things you found around your apartment. Sometimes when we're making a set, though, we have an idea and it's so specific that no candlestick or vase or blocks are going to cut it. You got to have exactly the picture that you have in your brain. That's when paper is really useful. I like to use cardstock, but really any kind of paper will work. All you really need is to pencil, right? First you can draw out exactly what you have in mind. And then once it's drawn, you can cut it out with scissors. And then you're going to need a little triangular flap to make it stand. I'll show you what I mean. Earlier, I made some trees. Now these are just two-dimensional trees. You can see they're really floppy. But I just took a little triangle, and I cut it out, and I taped it onto the back. You can see here. I taped it right there. Folded it down. Now, it stands. So I'm curious, what is it going to look like if I had more trees than this and we tried to do shadows with those? Let's take a look. Hit the lights. Okay, we're back in the dark. I'm going to turn the flashlight on on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. And now here we are in our forest. You can see because I put some of these trees in different layers, I can actually move past them. And I can go back out. Oh, this is a dense forest. And again, because the flashlight is our perspective, we can imagine it's someone walking, right? We can go trudge, boom, 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 boom. And then suddenly maybe we hear something. So these paper trees are about 5 inches tall, but once we put them in shadow, we can make them really big. And suddenly our story that takes place in the forest can really have a spooky forest set, just with paper and flashlights. So those are 2 different ways that you can create a set real small and then blow it up big time using a flashlight. We made a forest, we made a futuristic city, and I'm sure there are all sorts of other things that you could create for your own ideas of where your stories take you. One little tip when you're working with paper, sometimes these triangle tabs that you make just don't quite want to work the way you want them to, and you leave it up and it falls down. That's totally okay. As long as you're using a safe, basic kind of tape, and it feels like it's a good surface to put it on, you can always just tape it down, and then it's not going anywhere. I challenge you to think of your favorite story. Now think of 3 different locations in that story, and see, what do I need with paper? What do I need with objects? How could I create all 3 of those locations in the story and take my family on an adventure? Good luck!